homesteaders, gardeners, and cooks. My name is Jennifer. Welcome to Miles Away Farm, or welcome back. Today we are making something that I've never done before, so this is the first time for me too, which is beef heart. And I had this beef heart in my freezer. It came from my friend Lori. She gave it to me several years ago, along with a beef tongue. And I also have a recipe for making beef tongue tacos. But this heart had been kind of lingering in my freezer, and I didn't quite know what to do with it and just hadn't had the time to research it. And it is late in the fall, so it's hunting season. And I follow a group on Facebook called Hunt, Gather, Cook. And that's the group that's run by Hank Shaw, who, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that I adore. And recipes that Hank had posted for deer heart and antelope heart and various other heart had come up. And I thought, oh, duh, Hank Shaw, of course that's what I should probably look up. And so he had this recipe for a Peruvian grilled deer heart, which is his favorite way to eat heart. And I thought, well, this will be a perfect opportunity to use up that beef heart that's been in my freezer that I've been meaning to get to. And so I made a chili paste. I didn't have what he recommended, and so I just kind of put together my own, mostly mild chilies, so some guajillo, some ancho, which are both fairly mild, and then some paprika, which is a sweet paprika, so super mild, and then a little bit of chipotle for some smoke and some heat. You'll see that marinade coming up in here. The recipe is always in the description, guys. And if you're a little bit squeamish about the idea of eating a beef heart, which I know I was, the reality is when you cut away the parts that you're not going to eat, it's just a muscle. And so it's really delicious as a grilled piece of meat and a nice way to make use of the entire animal. So it turned out really great. We really enjoyed it. And we ate it with the last of our summer shishito peppers on the grill as well. And those were also delicious. So grilled beef heart, let's get started.
So I was all ready to show you how to actually break down a beef heart. And then when I opened this package, it turned out that the butcher had done that for me, and they were already cut into slabs and mostly cleaned up. This is slightly freezer burned. We're in November 2024, and this heart was originally packaged in 2021. So it's been in the freezer for a long time. There's a tiny bit of freezer burn on it. Not enough to make a huge difference, especially with the amount of spice that went onto this. I'm going to put this on skewers. And so I'm going through here. I'm cutting off any fat that I can see, any little bits and pieces from the center of the heart that maybe I don't want to eat. And then just cutting things up into strips to go onto those skewers. And the dogs really enjoyed this little trim pile that I had here. If you were to start with a whole beef heart, what you typically do is you cut the top of it off because that's where all the connections are. And then you slice one side of it and kind of try to open it up like a book, essentially. Cut away any valves that you find in there, and then you're back to where I was. So now I'm putting together the spice mix. It called for achiote paste, which I did not have. And so I used some of this Sazon that's been lingering in one of my pantries as a substitute. And either one of those ingredients are actually optional. And then I used some ancho, some smoked guajillo, and some chipotle powder, and then some sweet paprika in the mix. And then we have garlic, quite a bit of garlic, some red wine vinegar, some black pepper, and a little bit of salt, and then a couple tablespoons of a neutral oil. I was using avocado oil here. We're just going to mix all of that together to make a nice paste. And I just winged this, guys. You could probably just use like chili powder that you've got in your cupboard if you don't have loose spices, and that would work just fine as well. And then that's going over our beef heart. And I'm just going to stir this well, cover it with plastic, and then stash it in the fridge overnight. So this basically marinated for about 24 hours. And this looks like a ton of chilies, and it is a ton of chilies. But the only thing in here that really has any heat is that chipotle powder. So this is actually relatively mild. This is the next evening. And so I've threaded our marinated meat onto skewers. And this is a nice brand of skewer that is a little bit rectangle so that stuff doesn't easily roll. Although I was still having problem with the meat rolling on the skewer, so not 100%, but I've had these metal skewers for years after having really cheap round ones and being super frustrated with how everything just spun around on there. And then you want a really hot grill. So I preheated this with the lid down on high for probably 20 minutes before I put these on the grill, because you're looking for a really good sear. And if this had been really fresh, you know, nice heart, I probably would have pulled this a little sooner. You want about 3 minutes per side. You're looking for medium rare to medium rare. I cooked these a little bit longer just because they were a little bit freezer burned, and I was a little worried about having them be underdone in terms of the flavor profile. So I flipped them, then flipped them again. So I probably had a total of maybe 8 minutes here in the cooking time. But really pretty straightforward. They're super thin, so they're gonna cook really, really fast. And beef heart, the meat is dense, but it's relatively tender. I didn't find it to be particularly chewy. And yeah, really delicious. So I was imagining something along the lines of a gizzard, like a chicken gizzard, like super chewy. And that was not the case here. Don't those look delicious? All right, our grilling is done. So I couldn't wait. I wanted to pull a little bit off while it was piping hot and just taste it. This is the pause to let my fingers cool off because this was really hot. And yeah, had a taste right off the grill, and yeah, it's delightful. So I would totally make this again for sure. And then I'm also having, this is the last of the shishitos. We were gonna get a frost, and so I picked the plants completely clean. So we're having the last of the grilled shishitos to go with this, and some carrot salad. Just delicious. If you happen to have a beef heart laying around, or a hunter in your family who's bringing home venison or elk, have them save the heart. This is worth a try. Thanks for watching, Tribe. If you like this kind of content, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment, and share. I have new content coming out every week.